What is up, guys? Stark here, and today I have my death predictions for Season 8 of The Walking Dead. Now, just a disclaimer, this video was made before the San Diego Comic-Con. It's actually, I think it's going on right now, but the Walking Dead panel hasn't happened yet, and the reveal trailer hasn't happened yet. I have no clue what's going on. Nothing has been spoiled like it was last summer. This is all just pure speculation on my end. I'm going to use my typical yes, no, maybe system. I'm going to, for the people that are like dead giveaways, I'm going to go kind of quick on them because there's a lot of characters to cover. Like I thought there was a lot when I did this 2 years ago for season 6. There are a lot of characters. So I'm going to go from, instead of going down the casting call, I'm going to go by group location. So I'm going to go for the Alexandria Safe Zone, Hilltop, Kingdom, etc. I'm going to try to make it as quick as I can, but for the people I do want to talk about, I'm going to talk about them for a little bit longer. There's going to be timestamps below in the description. If you're just looking for a specific character, you can click on that. And just a big warning, I am going to spoil some things from the comics, so spoiler alert. Alright, so we're going to start in Alexandria. So first up's Rick Grimes, obviously. I mean, no, not going to happen, zero chance. And then we're going to move over to Carl. Ditto, no way. Rick and Carl are far and away the two safest characters in the show. Nothing else to even say about them. It's just not even going to happen. If they're in a dangerous situation this season, don't even freak out or anything, because there is zero chance either of them are going to die next season. And I just figured I'd do Judith next just so I don't forget. I'm starting to think Judith's kind of completely safe. There's been so many times where she could have kind of died and she hasn't, and I just don't think AMC is going to do it. I think Judith's around for the long haul now too. I don't think she's in any risk at all either. And now for Daryl. I've been saying maybe for Daryl for years, and I was kind of, if you go back and watch my one for season 6 before the I was kind of convinced that Negan was definitely, when Negan showed up, because I was back before Negan was around, I was completely convinced Daryl was going to get Negan's death, because I thought it would have been really fitting for him, and especially since they split it off on Abraham and Glenn. I kind of think Daryl's pretty safe. I'm saying maybe leaning towards no. I just think he's probably going to be around for a long time now. I could definitely see him going down in the all-out war, but I'm starting to think he's just the AMC cash cow going to be around forever. So Daryl's in a maybe. If it happened, it wouldn't just completely blow me away, but nah, I think he is relatively safe. And then for Michonne's about, she's not on the Rick Grimes, Carl Grimes level of untouchable, but she's on the one right below that. Michonne's not going anywhere. The only thing is, though, they are kind of switching up her comic role, and she's taking the Andrea role, and comic readers know, spoiler, that Andrea just died, but it's way, way, way after everything that's going on right now. It's after the war, after the time jump, after the Whisperer thing and everything. But Michonne's still incredibly safe. I'd be absolutely floored if she died this season. Alright, next up we have Aaron and Eric. Aaron, I'm pretty sure, is completely fine. It wouldn't... I probably should have put him at maybe, just because he's not untouchable by any means, and there's going to be a war and a bunch of people are going to die, but I just think Aaron's kind of a mainstay in the show now for the long run. His boyfriend, Eric, on the other hand, though, I am convinced he's going to get his comic death, probably in the premiere. That'd be my guess, because that's when the Sanctuary battle happens. That's kind of what I'm assuming is going to happen, or if not, within the first 3-4 episodes. I'm pretty sure Eric's going to go down during the war, because that's the exact way he dies in the comics, and he's kind of been around a little bit lately, so they might just be setting it up so we remember who he is right before he gets killed. But yeah, I do think Aaron's going to be fine, but Eric's probably going to go. Rosita's next, and no, I think she's about perfectly safe. With Sasha going down, and she's just kind of one of the leading ladies of the show now. I don't see her going anywhere, at least during All Out War, especially since she's one of the people with a huge vendetta against Negan. I just don't see her going down at any point this season. Next up's Gabriel, and boy, Gabriel's just had a really nice redemption arc. I'm really enjoying his character now, way more than I ever did in the comics and back in season 5 when I absolutely could not stand him. Gabriel, I'm gonna put it a maybe. I just think he could be one of the more shocking deaths in the war, because he's obviously not battle hardened or anything. He probably doesn't have great instincts or anything, and if he does get, well, I'm not going to say probably when he does get taken in the battle, because they're going to need every able-bodied person they can. Gabriel definitely could go down. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not convinced it's going to happen, especially since it would spread him away from his comic book role a bit, but he's also way different in the show than he is in the comics, so it wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't say it's a guarantee or anything, so that's why I have Gabriel to maybe. And going along with that, Tara is kind of another core but not insanely important character that could go down just during the war for shock value. Once again, I'm not convinced that it's going to happen, especially if they try to keep Oceanside like around in the show. Tara's Alexandria and everybody else's bridge to Oceanside. So I'm just not saying she's untouchable. That's why I don't have her to know. Not convinced it's going to happen, but Tara's at a maybe. It wouldn't surprise me, but her character's weird. There's no comic reference at all for her. I really haven't known what's going on for her forever, and the fact that she kind of keeps surviving every season leaves me to believe that I wouldn't be surprised if she survives season 8 too. And if Heath ever returns to the show, I know his actor had a role on, I have no clue, I think it was 24 maybe. I'm probably completely wrong on that, but then he like doesn't have the role anymore. I didn't keep too read up on it. I was so hyped for Heath in season 6, and I just got let down in the biggest way possible. But if Heath comes back, I'll put him in a maybe. They could easily just bring him back just to kill him, just to tie his story up, because TV show Heath's nothing like comic Heath, and I don't think there's any salvaging it at this point either. So Heath's at a maybe if we ever even see him again. And now we have some of the more red-shirty characters from Alexandria that people are probably still aware of. We have Scott, Tobin, and Francine. Scott, I'm almost going to guarantee dies. A lot of it's because his wife is Sonequa Martin Green, who played Sasha, and she's gone now, and I'd assume since he doesn't have a big important role, he's probably not, like the actor's probably not going to want to hang around. So Scott's almost guaranteed going to go. Tobin's arguably the most important of the three. He's had the biggest storylines. He had the thing with Carol, so that might give him plot armor a tiny bit. I don't know. Tobin could very easily die in the war, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. And ditto for Francine. Like, one of them, I'd assume probably at least 2 of these 3 are going to die, and I really don't care, and I really have no way of predicting it. I almost guarantee Scott goes down, and then probably one, or even both of Tobin and Francine could definitely go too. And then there's just the other, like, almost completely nameless red-shirty characters from Alexandria. There's Kent, Bruce, Barbara, Bob Miller. I mean, it's a war. Some of them are going to die. Some of them are going to live. Might be shown off screen a bunch. Who really knows? Who cares? There's going to be deaths in a war, so don't be surprised if, like, some of these Alexandria red shirts randomly go down too. So we've moved on to the Hilltop Colony, and we're going to start out with their de facto leader, Maggie, which, no, she's not going anywhere. She's following her comic book role to a T. She's completely untouchable right now. She's, like, right in that little group with, like, Michonne. I even put her up with Rick and Carl almost. She's completely safe, untouchable right now. Next up is Jesus, just pretty much another almost untouchable character. I'd be absolutely just floored if Jesus somehow... I'm not going to say it like that. I'd be completely shocked if Paul Rovia died this season. Enid's another one I think is pretty safe. I wouldn't put her like super untouchable by any means, but I'm pretty sure she's just comic Sophia, so no, she won't go anywhere either. She's probably fine. Next up is Gregory. The show is making him just out to be a tiny, even little bit more of a dick than he was in the comics. I don't think he's going to die, but if the plot advances faster than I originally thought it was going to, he's definitely up in the air, because comic spoilers, obviously, but after the war, Gregory's the next major death, so it could definitely happen. It wouldn't surprise me. If the all-out war stretches out through the entire season, I think he's probably fine, though, because he's just going to go cower and hide somewhere. And now we've moved into kind of the Hilltop's red-shirty, somewhat recognizable characters. That's Cal on the left, Eduardo on the right. Cal, would probably almost guarantee he's going to get his comic death at the gate of the Hilltop. Eduardo, I don't really know. I mean, I'd assume if they want to kill off somebody that we've seen once or twice before from the Hilltop, then Eduardo is a very likely candidate. I'd be kind of shocked. If they both make it through, I'd be really shocked. I'd kind of be shocked if they both don't kick the bucket at some point this season just as war casualties. And that about wraps up the Hilltop. There's obviously other red shirts. There's Birdie, Wesley, Freddie, I think the blacksmith. I mean, just like Alexandria, some of them are going to like probably be lost during the war, but it's not that big of a deal. Now we've moved on to the Kingdom with their leader Ezekiel and his pet tiger Shiva. Ezekiel's extremely safe. Nothing's going to happen to Ezekiel. Shiva's probably going to be gone within the first few episodes. Not even just because the CGI tiger is really expensive and hard to do, but Shiva kind of didn't have a long lifespan in the comics either, so a bunch of things were kind of like stacking up against her that she was never going to last long from the get-go. But hopefully we get a few more cool tiger moments in the show before she eventually does go, because it's almost a certainty going to happen probably within the first 3 to 4 episodes. Next up's one of my favorite characters in the show, Carol. I haven't known what's going on with her for years and years and years now. I always just say maybe because I have no reference. She's always changing her personality, doing kind of like off the wall thing. So Carol's in a maybe. She could go down during the war. I kind of don't see it happening anymore. She's just kind of like what I said with Daryl earlier. I just kind of think Carol and Daryl are just going to be like those super long-term survivors that are going to be with us from the start till pretty much the end. So I think Carol's probably relatively safe, but she's by no means untouchable. And here we do have my big prediction of our like team like Rick Grimes main character death of the season. And season 7 was super heavy on main character deaths. I mean, there was Glenn, Abraham, Sasha, and Spencer was technically considered a main character, even though nobody liked him or anything like that. But I do think Morgan is going to be the big hit from this season, at least from like the perspective of like the good guys side. I do think there's going to be some other villains that go down that I'll get to later. But yeah, I do think Morgan's been with us in season 1. I think his character's kind of come full circle. I do think he's going to get the Nicholas Arrow death that the comic readers are familiar with during an attack on, I think, the Hilltop. It's been so long since I read that. I do think Morgan's time's just about run out. He helped Rick at the beginning. He cleared. He went pacifist. He cleared again. He killed Richard. He's just, I feel like I don't want to say he's too far gone or anything like that, because I don't think he is. I just think his character arc's just about wrapped up. Plus, Lenny James, the actor, has a bunch of other projects, and I just think a bunch of things are kind of culminating to spell the end for Morgan, and I do think he is going to get the Nicholas Arrow death, the tainted Arrow death from the comics. Next up is new fan favorite Jerry, and unfortunately, I do think Jerry is going to go too. See, in the comics, Ezekiel goes through a ton of loss at one point during the war with Shiva going down, and in the comics it was Richard that he was like, that was his lieutenant, second in command, like right by his side all the time, and Richard gets shot in the head during an attack on the Sanctuary. But since Richard's already gone, and I mean, Ezekiel obviously cared about Richard's death, and he cared about Benjamin's death, so he already has gone through more loss in the show than he has in the comics up to this point. But I think Jerry is going to take Richard's comic death at the Sanctuary probably within the first 2-3 episodes, and Jerry's going to go down. It's going to be a bummer because everybody loves Jerry, and it's going to be a big focal point of character development for Ezekiel, losing Jerry and losing Shiva within the same probably episode. I would assume they would do it. And now we've hit the red shirts for the Kingdom. Not a ton of characters have been introduced either yet. There's members of Ezekiel's Kingsguard, Diane, there's Daniel, Colton, Alvaro. I mean, members of Ezekiel's Kingsguard would be more likely to go, but with Richard going, Benjamin going, and I'm assuming Jerry going along with Shiva, I would assume they'd kind of actually be a little bit safer than other red shirts, if that makes any sense. I mean, I'm sure some of them are still going to go down. The Kingdom has a lot of people, so during the war, you're probably going to see a lot of, like, completely nameless Kingdom red shirts go down. I do think the ones that are, like, kind of familiar when they're on screen are probably a tiny bit safer, but Kingdom's got a lot of red shirts, and we're probably going to lose a lot of them during the war. And we've moved on to the Sanctuary, and sorry, Negan haters, Glenn apologists, Abraham lovers, everything like that, there is not a single chance in the world Negan dies. He's legitimately as untouchable as, like, Michonne and Maggie and those super upper echelon characters right now. He is not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. If they switch things up like that and kill off Negan at some point during the war, I legitimately think that can be show-breaking. So hopefully they don't do it. They have done show-breaking things before, but not with this, not with the current executive producer team. When I was talking show-breaking, I mean when they killed off Andrea at the end of Season 3. That was kind of borderline show-breaking, but they did their best to rectify that. But anyway, Negan is not dying. I would put my house on it. There is no way in the world Negan goes down. Dwight, on the other hand, is kind of weird just because of the presence of Daryl. I don't think Dwight's going to go down, but I don't think he's untouchable. Right now in the comics, Dwight's a top 7 or 8 main character. Like, he is extremely important. In the show, he's taken a bit of a back seat. I don't think he's going to go down, but if he did in some kind of weird twist, just to kind of, because Daryl and him are kind of the same person, just on different sides right now. Well, I mean, Dwight's technically on our side, but you get my drift. Like, wouldn't completely shock me. I don't think it's going to happen, but Dwight is not untouchable, I wouldn't think. This Save You Lieutenant probably is going to go, though. I do think Simon's going to die, just because Negan is not going to die. Dwight is 99.5% not going to die. Some notable saviors do have to die during the war, and I think Simon fits the bill really well. Like, I could see him being sent out to, like, hold an outpost or something like that, and then Rick, or the Hilltop, or the Kingdom, or whoever goes and storms it, and Simon gets taken down, and that's, like, a big, like, morale killer for the Saviors, because he's a high-ranking official. I think he's either second or third in command, because I kind of don't know how Negan considers Dwight at this exact moment in time. I do think Simon's going to go. It kind of bums me out, because he's an extremely likable bad guy. He's one of my favorite villains in the entire series. But yeah, I do think he is not going to make it through the entire season. And now we have Eugene. I have no clue what they're doing with Eugene. Comic readers can unite with me on that. I mean, what the hell? Like, it doesn't shock me with his personality by any means. Like, I wasn't shocked because of, like, the kind of person he is. I was just shocked because it's a complete curveball of what the story of the comics told. Like, I know everything's not eye for eye with the comics, but wow. This is just, like, a really huge, like, I'm including Eugene with the Saviors. So, that's kind of a big twist. I don't think he's going to die, but he definitely still could, just because he's with the Saviors now, and I don't know how much they're going to change his character. I still think, and I think a lot of it, I think the finale kind of solidified a lot of that with how he was willing to help Sasha and everything, but I do still think he's Team Rick. I just think he's playing his typical manipulation kind of role that he's got, and I don't know. He's weird. If he dies, I'd be shocked, but not that shocked. I kind of do expect him to survive and jump right back on Rick's bandwagon as soon as he takes the upper hand in the war. And now we have Gavin and his crew, which includes the guy that shot Benjamin. If you don't remember him, don't feel too bad. They were only in 2 episodes, I think. This is the Savior group that was designated to meet with the Kingdom and collect their tribute and then drive off whatever Richard got in Gavin's face, Morgan got in their face. Like, they're just a crew that I think is going to be used to, like, signify how the Kingdom and Hilltop and Alexandria start taking the upper hand in the war. Because I do think there's going to be a part of an episode where, like, a unit of Kingdomers is going to go out, find wherever their outpost is, and take down Gavin, take down Jared, kind of avenge Ben and Richard in the process. I do think they're all going to go. They're kind of cannon fodder. Like, nobody really cares. It'll be some cool retribution for Benjamin, I guess, but Benjamin really wasn't around long enough for any of us to care about him too much. So it's mostly just going to be extra people for the Saviors to lose in the war. Next is Arat, and call me crazy if you want. I actually think Arat's going to be somewhat important. Not really during the war. She's going to be around during the war, but kind of post-war. Post-war, if you're not familiar with the comics or anything like that, so some spoilers. The Saviors still exist, and they kind of become adapted into the community trio of Alexandria, the Hilltop, and the Kingdom. And I don't remember exactly who the leader was in the comics. I guess it's not important anymore. I think Sherry was still around there, but I do think Arat's going to lead the post-Negan, post-war Saviors, so I do think she's going to stick around just because she's got the personality to lead. I think Simon's going to die, and Dwight obviously doesn't end up staying there. So I actually do think Arat is safe, and I would actually be kind of surprised if they kill her off, but I wouldn't be too surprised. I probably should have put her at a maybe because I kind of have Arat as untouchable, and she's probably not, but whatever. Here's another guy too many people probably wouldn't recognize. I kind of completely forgot about him until I rewatched Season 7. But Dr. Carson, he was the doctor that got ripped from the Hilltop and taken over to the Sanctuary. He's not really technically a member of the Sanctuary, but he's just over at their base, so I included him here. He's not going to die, I wouldn't assume, just because there's no doctors left. Negan killed his brother, the other Dr. Carson, and Denise Cloyd's already down, so I don't think Dr. Carson is going to die. He's not that important, but I mean, he is a doctor, so I do think he's safe. And now we're just left with any Sanctuary red shirts that I'm not aware of, because I don't think anybody else even has a listed name. A ton of red shirts from the Sanctuary is going to go down during the war, just because it's a war, nothing to lose sleep over or overanalyze too much. So with that, we'll jump right into another antagonistic group, Jadis and the Junkyard people. There's also Tamiel, I think how you say your name, and Bryant. They all have dumb names. I do think they are all going to go relatively early. Rick is not happy with them in any way. He was trying to like play let's make a deal when everything was going down in the Season 7 finale, but you know as soon as everything was done there, he was going to finish them off for betraying him. Because, I mean, from Rick's point of view, the Junkyard's the one that screwed everything up. Negan would be dead. Eugene would be dead too, but Negan would be dead. The Savior problem would be eradicated. There wouldn't even be an upcoming war where he's going to lose more of his people. As soon as the opportunity presents itself, I guarantee at least Jadis is going to go down. Maybe not the entire community, I don't really know. but there's no comic reference for this either, so I'm kind of just spitballing, but I just can't see any feasible situation where Rick and Maggie and Daryl and all those guys just let what they did go completely unpunished. So I would definitely assume Jadis will go down. Probably your two little lieutenants there too. I don't care a ton about like any of them. I just like it's so foregone in my mind that they're already like dead probably that it's not even like I don't even have much to discuss about it. And the last group we have of name characters is the members of the Oceanside community. I don't know if they're going to be featured too prominently in season 8. Like legit, the war might end, Rick and everybody might go take back the guns they stole, or not, pretty much stole, and be like, hey, thanks, and leave. We might never see him again. If they are featured prominently, I do think their leader Natanya, who's the one with the gun to Tara's head in this picture, will go down, and then Cindy, Rachel, Beatrice, the other kind of supporting characters would probably be safe. I just don't even like, because Oceanside, after they dedicated that absolutely horrible episode with Tara to like the entire community, I thought Oceanside was going to be way more prominently featured than what they have been. So I'm not holding my breath we'll even ever see any of them again. I feel like we will, but I think it's going to be like a really minor interaction, and then like maybe like Cindy or Rachel might like come to Alexandria or something to like hang out with Tara. I really don't know. I really kind of don't care about them too much. They weren't around long enough for me to really like grow attached to any of the characters. No, I know that I don't like Natanya at all, so that's kind of like my bias has her dying if like they show up again, but probably not too big of a deal. And with that, I think that is just pretty much about everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you somehow made it this far, let me know if you did make it this far down in the comments. I'd really appreciate it if you did, just because I'm curious. Feel free to rage at me down below in the comments. Call me an idiot when Morgan doesn't die this season. Anything like that. If you have any questions, you just want to talk about the season, feel free. I'll do my best to respond. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.